Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's video, we're going to be talking about, if you're new in the hobby, how to start approaching collecting and what you should target and what's the best route to build a collection. We're also going to be discussing other players like a Crow-Armstrong or a James Wood, Cal Raleigh. There's other people that I think you want to talk about, Caminero, Phil, that are doing really well this year, who are young, that typically don't get a lot of coverage. I want to talk about them and their cards as well. So in this episode, you have me, Scott, we have Ty, we have Chris, and we have Phil. So some background before I ask you guys a question. I have a friend who is actually a coworker of mine, and he reached out and he asked me, how do I do this? He went and bought a hobby box and got killed on it. And it's just like a lesson we all learn. But he's like, how do I go about spending money and what do I focus on to start? I have $700. Do I buy one card? Do I buy two cards? What do I do? Do I buy Roki Sasaki? He's a Dodgers fan. Do I buy Yamamoto? All of these questions that we've all wondered when we first start out really putting money into the hobby. So my question for you guys is, what would your advice be for a newcomer in that situation? What do you think, Chris?
I think I would probably tell a newcomer the same thing I would tell anyone else, which is try not to buy boxes. Like, it's fun. It's nostalgic. It's what you remember if you collected as a kid. But the lack of an ROI will just eventually crush your spirit and probably, keep you from staying in the hobby longer. If he is a Dodger fan, and honestly, even if he isn't, I would tell him and anyone else, like, the best thing you could probably do is buy the best Ohtani card you can afford, is what I would say. And given his price range, I might get some flack for this, and that's fine. I would buy this card. This is his finest refractor rookie in a PSA 10. The most recent sale on Market Movers was $550. That to me seems like you get a nice hitting image. It's shiny. It looks like he looks like he's watching Saved by the Bell in the background with the opening credits there. But I love this card. I think it's great. I don't think there is a player out there I would be more comfortable putting money into than Shohei Ohtani. All apologies to Aaron Judge. I don't know. I think it's if you're getting new, if you're into this, I think this is just the player that you should gravitate towards, because this is the player that, the entire baseball world has gravitated towards.
Okay. I like it. Phil, how would you give him advice here?
I would say buy some wax, actually. And then maybe at the 3-month check-in point, I'd be like, all right. I'd have him up high. And I'd be like shaking him like, all right, you're done. You're done. No more breaks. But I think buying wax can be a fun way to get reintroduced. That's ultimately what hooks a lot of us. But you need to be buying the right products. And with a newcomer, I would suggest flagship. So either Series 1, Series 2, or Update. Probably not Topps Chrome, because it won't be a fun experience on the ROI perspective, especially with this year. But hobby box, maybe a few blasters, get started there. And then I would stress education. I would stress getting started on the lower end side of things before really dabbling in and spending multiple hundreds on a specific player or card. Also, it's important to have a goal, right? Like, what do you want to do? Are you looking to build a set? Are you looking to collect specific image variations? Are you looking to just collect a few players of a few cards of your favorite players? Are you looking to prospect and are you trying to like turn this into, you're trying to double your money? Whether the case is like A, B, C, or D, you've got to do your research up front, because you're going against other people that are smarter than you, quicker than you, have access to more resources than you, and you will lose. As Ty said in our video that we're actually posting a little bit later this week, that most people that get into this, it's a losing proposition, even if you are just buying singles. So it's important to get in and have that first impression be a positive one by starting out small. Also, I'd want to stress, like, have a plan with each card you're picking up. This assumes that, you can do this and be that detailed and you're only buying like 5 or 10 different cards. Like, have some sort of an exit strategy. Are you looking to hold this player till the price goes up to a certain point? If so, do you kind of have a stop loss if that doesn't play out, and continually look at your thesis? If you're doing this from an investing standpoint, look at market values quarterly, if not monthly. Stay on top of that, just to understand kind of like where you're at from a P&L perspective. And, or maybe you have other goals, but definitely know those up front.
I have lots of thoughts on this. It's funny hearing different perspectives from Phil and Chris. I would say open put $25 toward a blaster box of Series 1 or Series 2 tops just to feel what it feels like to get totally smoked and get nothing out of it. And know that that was $25 well spent instead of $250 or something. I really like opening boxes whenever I have a new employee start on my team, especially if they're somebody on my software team or something and they don't actually have direct experience in the hobby. The first thing I do is go buy like a blaster box and give it to them and say, just like feel what it feels like to open a pack and know what this is and what people are doing and feel the cards in your hands. The next thing I would say is go to a card show or a card shop, preferably a show, but if it's a good shop too, and you can go with a friend, a little less pressure, I guess there, and just look at things and see what do you like, what types of things are out there, try to get a feel for it. Maybe they like shiny, maybe they like things that look a little more historic or artistic, or they're really into photography, and try to be a student and understand those things. And I think you mentioned education. I'll give a shameless plug, but I'm really proud of the work that I put into this book with Jeff and Ben, Sports Card Collecting and Investing for Dummies, $18.39 with free Amazon Prime shipping. And this is a very, very good, it took us 9 months to write this book. Really good overview for anybody, however they're going to hobby. And likewise, we've done some videos. So there is a Sports Card Collecting and Investing for Dummies or a beginner's video, an hour and 20 minutes breaking down everything. I've done all kinds of beginners content on the Market Movers channel. And I'm not saying those just to be like shameless plugs. Having really good access to pricing information. We've got a brand new free app that is out, and you can use this, or you can obviously use Market Movers or some other pricing tool if you want to, but having really good pricing information is very valuable just to be able to easily track your collection and do those things. I like what you said, Phil, about just having goals. And maybe your goal is just to collect. Maybe it's just like, I want to put some stuff on my desk at work. Okay. Probably don't buy autos because you don't want them to fade, or, just knowing why you're even interested in getting into the hobby is really important. We talked on a recent video about, how Instagram and other things can be pretty addictive. They can also, though, be really good for building community. I met you guys through social media, through that extended digital hobby community. We, shoot the crap all the time on our DMs. So whether you're in IG or X or TikTok or Discord or whatever, try to find a community, maybe, set some limits on it per day on the app, but just being able to learn that way and get plugged in with people is really valuable. And then there's a lot of just basics. Don't chase hype, understand and learn about grading. Make sure you know how to store your cards and where to put them and keep them out of humidity and smoke and other things like that. But in terms of just like the basic budget, I would try to like figure out what you like first and what appeals to you before like going too crazy on everything, because a lot of people get into it and then they just start like FOMO buying a lot, in a month or 2 months or 6 months later, look around them and go, oh, I didn't really want all these cards after all. I only wanted this subset. So
that was actually my advice, Ty, is make sure you don't spend your money right away. It's okay to learn to figure out what you like. Baseball in particular is pretty cool because there's so many different eras, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have true pre-war, we have vintage, and then we have like the weird middle ground between vintage and the 90s inserts. And then we have the 2000s, 2010s, like all these different eras are entirely different. And the rules that govern these eras for making money is actually quite different as well. So don't be afraid to learn and digest and ingest like this information from people. And feel free to reach out to people that so you can ask them questions. Learn as much as you can before you spend your first dollar, because you'll do the best there. For me, when I got back into the hobby, it was different. YouTube wasn't a thing. Jeff Wilson, hate him or love him, he was kind of the first one to do it at this scale in this way. Before that, there were individuals who shared their collections and do box breaks and things. But from like an educational perspective, it was quite different back in the mid 2010s or so. But I remember I took $500 and I said, I cannot spend more than $10 on any card. And I bought 50 cards for $10 or less. And that was such a great experiment. Like, I actually made great money. I invested in Christian Yelich rookie cards before he blew up. So I did really well there. I also bought a lot of Matt Davidson, and that did not do good, right? And so it was cool to kind of see it. I don't recommend going that route. My point is, don't buy everything of the same guy. because if you put all your eggs in one basket and you get burnt, you're going to be out of this hobby pretty quick because you're going to be pretty pissed off. So,
yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. I do think what Chris said about like buying a single card is sometimes what people come to me with. Like sometimes that's their goal. They're like,
yeah,
I want to buy a really cool Otani card, or I want to whatever. Like, here's my budget. What do you think? And so that like that's all back just to the goals and the purpose. Like, what are you trying to do? And having somebody who is knowledgeable in that arena to consult with can be pretty valuable if that's your goal.
Yes. And just make sure when you first start, be okay losing all the money and chalk it up to education. If that's really what you're trying to do.
There is a cost of tuition for sure.
Yes. And if you do good on it, that's great. But just know, like, this is how you're going to learn to buy and sell, because it's a whole new world. For us, it's like a second language. It's easy for us. We just go in and we can go to Instagram and sell things and pack it the right way and ship it the right way and use, we know what we're doing. But when you're first starting, selling is intimidating and shipping is intimidating. I remember the first time I sold a card, it was a Aaron Judge commemorative coin from 2017 Series 1. Like the extra little card that came in a blaster box. Mm-hmm. Sold it for $17. And that was a pretty good little flip when the box was $20. And I remember I sold it and I got a neutral feedback because I entered the tracking in wrong. And I thought like the world was over, right? And so you're going to learn stuff as you're new in the hobby.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think the thing that one thing Ty said I wanted to just piggyback on. He said, "Don't buy the hype," and I would almost go a step further. Like if you're new, almost don't buy anyone who hasn't been in the league for more than a year. That's kind of like a general rule. I've actually been looking at some James Wood cards lately.
Yeah,
I am a huge fan of James Wood. I like everything about that guy, but I just can't quite get myself to pull the trigger yet. It just feels like, at 22 years old, he's played about a full season right now, maybe a little bit less in his career. And I don't know. Anything can happen from this point on. So just be careful.
It's like the boat's starting to be missed on James Wood a little bit. If I wait any longer, I'm sure other people feel similar. We can see how expensive these guys can get.
Yeah.
Anybody want to add anything else? Do you want to pivot that way and go look at James Wood's numbers?
Pivot to James Wood.
Phil, I saw you unmute yourself.
Yeah, let's talk about James Wood a little bit. I'm in a lot of circles, Juan Soto chats, and other places where people are talking about James Wood and how they think he's still undervalued. I think that was certainly the case in April and May. I think in June he's had to have picked up some because of all the new interest in people that are actually buying his cards now. We talked about this a little bit on Patreon, but I don't think we did a segment here. So
speaking of which, if you like our content, join our Patreon. It's $10 a month. You have access to, I think, like 40 or 50 videos now in the past. And on top of that, we release at least one video a week for $10. And we go into deep depth more so than we can here on these players. Anyways, keep going.
Last year, he was actually pretty good. That was his MLB debut at age 21 or 21 and a half. 781 OPS. This year, he's at a 940 OPS. And he's been so consistent, and I think he's gotten better over the last few months. You look at like a guy that's of his size. Usually they strike out a lot, right? 26%. I mean, you can live with that. Higher than average. And the walk rate is really, really good. 14%. It's top in the league. Everything's top in the league with this guy, it seems. The speed is a little bit down this year. And I think, and I brought this up on Patreon, but one of the knocks on him last year was that he doesn't pull the ball enough, especially in the air. All of his home runs last year, all 9 of them were center field or opposite field. Basically, this year, okay, not all of them, but most of them.
A good majority.
Yeah, right. This year, he's had a lot of pull side home runs. The one thing that remains a little down is his pull air percentage. So, like the percentage of time that he's actually hitting the ball in the air and to pull side is still pretty low, as you can see there, but higher than last year. And because he's such a powerful man that hits the ball well, set dead center and to left field, he's able to sustain like a 30% home run to fly ball rate. And he's on pace for 35 plus home runs, I think, at this point. Pretty insane. And he'll probably just get better. So this is a guy he's pretty flashy. He came in with some hype. He wasn't the top guy in that deal, in my opinion, with Juan Soto that sent Juan Soto to the Padres. I think that was more CJ Abrams at the time. But Wood was probably like a top 20 guy or so, top 15 guy. he was like bang or bust. And I think a lot of people overlooked him, just thinking like, well, 6'7", 234 pounds. What are the chances that this guy actually can play at this level, and especially right away? And people were sleeping on him at all off season, sleeping on him a little bit in April. And now I think he's starting to get some attention, but he's still probably like the same price as Jack Caglione. So he's still undervalued versus a lot of these other buzzy young players. So something also worth noting. Caglione is down like 50%, I think, from highs already.
Oh yeah, he's really struggled. And I mean, he was drafted last year. It's not super surprising. For every Juan Soto, for every Bryce Harper, for every James Wood, there's a million Jerks and Profars. It's one of those things where Jerks and Profar's number one prospect had a good major league career. But that sure as heck does not translate to baseball card values. And so it's one of those things where if, Jack Caglione becomes a league average hitter or a 130 OPS plus guy, and he's a decent defender, but never elite, that's really valuable for the Royals, but not for your baseball cards. So that's something you have to be aware of.
So here's the biggest, most recent James Wood sale that I could find while Phil was talking. This sold July 6th up for bids. What do we think? Any guesses? Maybe you guys saw it? I don't know.
No,
I saw it. I can't say it. I saw it.
Ty, you want to guess? If you squint really hard, you could probably see it on my screen faded in the back there on Market Movers.
Oh, I won't do that then.
So these were sitting at 15 for a while, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Have they gone up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably would have guessed like 14 or 15.
The correct answer is 13K.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this one might have taken a slight hit because that auto isn't great.
There's actually a more recent sale that went for 17K.
Mm-hmm.
More recent than yesterday?
Yesterday? I just saw the one from 626 that went for...
This one has a faded auto, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The auto on here is not great. He kind of... Jackson mailed it a little bit, if we can make that a verb. So that probably hurt it slightly. But yeah, this sale is from July 6th.
What platform? eBay?
On eBay. It was consigned. It went 63 bids at auction.
I'm glad that people are reacting to the autograph appropriately and not giving it the same premium, because that does make a difference. So that's good to see.
Yeah. By the way, he has a 300 batting average right now. We're recording this on July 7th. 300 batting average right now against the left-handed pitchers. Ooh. With an 898 OPS. Yes.
So he's worse against right. He has reverse splits, huh?
OPS is still better against right.
Yeah, more power.
Yeah. But I know it's early. Sample size is 132 plate appearances against lefties, but guy's doing everything right, minus the defense, right?
Yeah, it's like a guy like Jason Dominguez who does very, very well against righties. Yes, but he can't hit lefties, right? And so it's tough. But if you have a player who can be well above average against one side but still crush the other side, that's how you have a good ball player. So,
I think we owe James Wood more respect than even mentioning Jason Dominguez at the same time.
And
my point. Let me show you the split difference.
He's a switch hitter. Dominguez is a switch hitter, though.
Yes. I understand that, but like 819 versus 701, 289 versus 235. You know what I mean? Like significant jumps. I just know that from watching Aaron Judge. So, all right, tight. Who else is exciting you right now outside of James Wood?
I mean, right now, pretty much everybody on the Tigers is who's exciting me.
If we gave Ty anything he wanted, he would just have a Tigers baseball card podcast. So we have to be careful with that.
I wouldn't. That would maybe get boring after a little point. But I did just pick up this Riley Green Bowman Chrome Orange auto. So speaking of Bowman Chrome Oranges, they had with this one sitting raw on the shelf at Cards HQ. And I've also just been doing a little dabbling. I picked up a Torque Dynasty. I also picked up not one, but two Casey Mize Dynasty cards. I bought this one, and I didn't, the patch was okay. And honestly, I hadn't seen any without a patch like this, like any. They all looked like this. And I looked at the serial numbers and everything, and they all just looked like this patch. And then right after I bought that one, this one popped up. But this one was on ComC and removed from the One Touch. So now I'm like, I didn't even realize that, honestly, when I bought it. I mean, I probably just didn't. I don't know. I didn't think about it. I just bought it. This is a better patch. So the auto on this one's a little more faded, but yeah, just Tigers stuff. I don't know. I've actually been meaning to kind of do another data dive and actually get back into some of the midseason baseball numbers. I haven't really honestly been able to spend a ton of time on it lately, but I do know there's a lot of guys who are having really good seasons who just haven't moved at all yet. So
well, let me propose one player who has moved quite a bit, and we can talk about him. And that is
by the way, Riley Green, just one comment. There could be some regression coming because he's got a 31% strikeout rate, which is more than 4 times his walk rate, with a 286 batting average right now. So, but
shut your mouth, Phil.
He's still hitting the ball hard, and could be.
Yeah, Torque's cooled off. All things are streaky in baseball, but I'm enjoying the feast lately. He's been absolutely phenomenal over the last month, especially.
All right, back to this. The player I want to talk about is Pete Crow-Armstrong. He is your NL MVP leader, I would say, over Shohei Ohtani as a Shohei Ohtani fan. And I think Ohtani still could definitely win it with pitching and everything, and that's always a hard debate to have. But Pete Crow-Armstrong, right now, he is on pace for 42 home runs and 49 stolen bases, and that is with a 309 OBP. He is doing that with a 309 OBP. If he gets on base at 350 or 340, he is going to have a really good time, and his numbers are going to go way up. He also has a 136 WRC plus, and as of right now, let me share my screen with you really quick. He leads Major League Baseball according to Baseball Reference WAR, which really likes DRS, which is what he is like a king at. So he has 5.2 B WAR, even though he's like trailing and everything else. It's hard to argue one of the best defensive center fielders, plus a guy on pace for a 40-40 as a rookie. If we go over to his Fangraphs, we can see he only has 4.8, so a little bit lower there because they use outs above average and a couple other metrics to get their defensive metrics that are more range-based. But either way, having a great year. What do you guys think of Pete Crow-Armstrong? He's still young. I don't know his exact age. I think he's 22, 23. Do we think he actually has a chance to be investable? Because that's always a hard thing is predicting, is this a real breakout or is this just he's having a hot time? Look at his OBP. That's terrible. His OPS plus is only 141. Like, how do you guys feel about Pete Crow-Armstrong? What do you think, Chris?
As someone who drafted him in fantasy this year, I'm pretty excited about what he's doing. Yeah, if he could just get hit by like one more pitch a week, that OBP would really spike nicely. But yeah, I mean, I believe he's 23. Is that what? Yeah. So I mean, all those numbers are great. Like, I think getting on base more is something we're spoiled by guys like Soto and to a lesser extent James Wood, who came up with a perfect understanding of the strike zone.
Yeah.
You know, people like Soto we don't see those guys very often. This is way more common for like a 23-year-old to not get on base a lot, but wreak havoc. You know, whenever he's a very exciting player, but he does fall in kind of a bit of a danger zone, which is 2024 products, where he is in a lot of sets. He has a lot of autos. He has a lot of image variations. He just has a ton of parallels. Like, I like him. I hate the word investable. But yeah, I do like Pico Armstrong. I think he has a chance to continue to get better. I would like to see his eyebrows fill out a little bit more, but outside of that, you know, a lot.
You said something I really liked, and that was, this is what you expect of a young guy. He is one of the fastest players in baseball. He is a great defender. He's putting his body on the line, diving in the outfield, and he has, you know, he swings and misses a ton. Look at his chase percentage and his whiff percentage. I mentioned that his outs above average is what's holding his Fangraphs score back. That's not because it's not good. It's 100th percentile, the best in baseball. It's more that Baseball Reference, you know, relies on defense more than Fangraphs does. But look at this. He is a 93rd, 98th, 100th percentile. That is very impressive. That is a very impressive thing to see right there. Yep. It's really hard to have one of these be high, but to have all of them be this high is almost unheard of for a full season. So, all right, Phil, I feel like you have some thoughts on Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Yeah, so I was just diving into his numbers month by month just to see, like, okay, has he started to slow down? He was supposed to slow down in May. He did not. In June, he slowed down a little bit, but he's picked things back up in July. Again, recording this on July 7th here, small sample size. I'm noticing some tendencies. He's been pulling the ball more and more each month. He's also been hitting the ball into the ground a little bit more and more each month. So is that going to show up in the surface numbers, the batting average, the home runs, RBIs, extra base hits, etc.? So far, it hasn't. that much. WRC plus, I mean, it's not really on a nosedive like a lot of people would make you believe. And so you've got a card collector too, Ryan Johnson, who a lot of people know, big influencer. He said in a reel that he's looking to buy a number of players for the National that'll be hot. And he's talking about like, well, they're not all like goats and guys that you'd really expect, but he did mention for his one baseball guy that he's looking to buy Pico Armstrong. Part of that has to do with the National being in Chicago. He did say he's trying to buy PCA. So the way I interpret that is like, you don't think he's really worth that much. So you're looking to get him for reasonable values. You're not going to overpay for PCA right now. And I think that's the key. A lot of people just aren't believers yet. And I don't think any of us are necessarily believers. Like, I don't think any of the four of us will buy a PCA card in the next 2 months because we think there's a dip coming because there's already so much baked in. Maybe not the MVP being baked in, but I don't know. I don't think we're believers here. Do you guys disagree?
It's hard because it's one of those things where there's certain players that I'll buy in on instantly. And there's other players who I wouldn't say I don't believe in them. I just want to see more, and I'm okay not making as much money on them. And then there's players I don't believe in. And Pico Armstrong is in that middle where I could totally see myself buying a card of his, but I'm okay paying a premium in the future because I can't imagine that premium being much higher than it really is right now anyways. So I'm okay waiting, if that makes sense, even though I think he could be legitimate.
Yeah, Jacob Mizorowski. So talking about like hype and just being careful, Jacob Mizorowski had a PSA 10 Bowman first auto go for $10,000. That's more than, is that more than Clayton Kershaw?
What?
Yeah.
I
think he had like a red shimmer that went for like 20,000.
Okay.
Oh,
I think. Like I heard this from the Sports Card CEO podcast, by the way. Give them a listen. It's a pretty good one, especially if you like Bowman. But if you look at like those prices compared to James Wood, James Wood looks super undervalued. Yeah. And I'm guessing PCA's gotten a lot of he's gotten a lot of that sort of like skyrocketing treatment. A lot of people are probably up 20x on his stuff. So
if he wins he actually does win the MVP. Like, I mean, he's looking at a pretty gigantic multiplier for anyone who bought his stuff, January, February, or March. It's on. I mean,
Jeff took him in our Topps Chrome draft, so Jeff's hoping.
Jeff's probably going to win that
based
draft.
on that. It doesn't matter like that he had Kyle Harrison and Evan Carter. If you have like 1 10-bagger, as they call them in the financial world, like you're going to win. You won. So.
What was I going to pull up? Oh, I wanted to ask you guys. Dynasty was just released. Do you want to guess how much a Pico Armstrong Dynasty is sold for?
Just
less than 2K.
No.
Okay.
Like for the base.
Number.
That's your guess. What do you think, Ty?
Number to 10.
Number to 5.
To 5.
Oh, well, that's different.
Let me show you the card. Let me actually open this image in a new tab so you can't see the pricing. Give me a second. Here is the card. This card. What do you guys think this card sold for? Cool card. Really cool card. Good, relatively good autograph. Maybe not a 10, but that's a pretty good patch for this year's Topps Dynasty. Cool card.
2,100.
Okay. What was your guess, Ty? Did you guess?
5,500.
Oh, wow.
What if I told you this card is $7,495? And what if I told you his vertical RPA, which typically doesn't go for as much, is $5,700 and $6,100?
So is that like Bobby Witt territory, Scott? You might know.
It's more expensive than Bobby Witt territory.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
This is Bobby Witt.
What do you think?
Bobby Witt. Oh, I hate that.
Just do
Bobby
my
Witt old.
I better add auto in there.
Just do minus stadium.
Oh, yeah, too late. So I bought this one for $2,700, $3,100. If we go to like a good patch, this is his 1 of 1 at 14.
Yeah.
Double the out of 5 Crow-Armstrong seems crazy. His vertical out of 5 is 4,000. I don't know. It feels like a lot of risk in that price that person paid. Here's a good patch Witt. That's a cool patch. $4,100.
It's a problem. It's a problem of awareness, though. A lot of people, I'm telling you, they're not aware of prior years of Dynasty. They're not aware of a lot of things, and then they just see the new product come out at $2,000 a box and the new players that are hot, and they go, Oh yeah. I see what people pay for whatever Justin Jefferson. So why don't I don't know.
Yeah, Topps has been pumping Dynasty on their social media for like 2 weeks now. It's all everything is amazing 1-of-1 patches. How great these rookies look and all this memorabilia and blah blah blah. And I think an Ozzy Albies just out of 5 sold for like $120. So be careful.
Hopefully they don't look up that you could buy an comparable Ohtani card 3 years ago for the same price.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. You're right, Phil. I mean, as 2 Ohtani Dynasty holders, you and I, but you can see a non-1-of-1 rookie of Bobby Witt Jr. The most expensive sale ever was $7,500. So Pico Armstrong has already hit Bobby Witt Jr. territory, according to his rookie cards. So maybe that makes you not buy right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby Witt's having a down year, I guess.
Down year.
Yeah, I know. Well, the power, at least. If you look quickly, you'll be like, oh, that's it. All right. Then you move on to the next guy and look at his stats. But yeah, I'm a big Witt believer like you, Scott. I think he's due for a big second half.
It might be a good time to look at Bobby Witt, considering that Jacob Wilson got more All-Star votes than him. I mean, how did that happen?
Witt's having a good year.
That's better than I thought.
He's having a real solid
So the
year.
power has picked up lately then. Okay.
Well, he had one. He said his last game he had a home run, but it's because that ballpark he plays in. Let's go do the fun exercise. We look at Baseball Savant and see how many home runs he would have.
The answer is always 44.
In Cincinnati. Let's scroll down here really quick. So this year he would have had, if he played for the Athletics in that little ballpark, he'd have 22. So speaking of Jacob Wilson, to crush his numbers. But if we look at Kaufman, only 11, which is what he has. But there's other ballparks he'd be having a lot better offensive year. In LA, he'd have 17 this year, to give you an idea. So that ballpark will always restrict his home runs, but it will always help those doubles and triples when he gets in the gap. Huge outfield. But this is the same thing as Pete Crow-Armstrong, but Witt is a little bit more experienced, so kind of, and faster. A little bit easier to believe, in my opinion, than Pete Crow.
Yeah.
All right, Ty, do you have any thoughts on this whole Pete Crow-Armstrong, Bobby Witt situation?
No, a lot of guys are really good and then suddenly really aren't, and then maybe are good again later, and that's baseball. So that can happen in month to month. That can happen in year to year. Impossible to know. Pete Crow-Armstrong could take one off the wrist next week and miss the rest of the year. It's tough. It's tough.
Whoa. All right. I know Ty has to leave us real quick, but I just wanted to show someone else who's having a great season and seems to be largely, kind of ignored in the hobby. And that's this gentleman here.
Oh, yes. Eric Skubal.
This card just sold. I believe it was up for bids. And I will tell you that it sold for way less than a Pete Crow-Armstrong card. Probably way less than a Pete Crow-Armstrong base, if I really had to guess. This blue did not crack $400.
What?
So, the best pitcher in baseball right now, cruising to a second, Cy Young award. I don't know. If you're not afraid of investing in pitchers, I would. Okay. I don't know if I go after Skeens. I think I would be looking at some Skubal cards.
So
that's a sapphire, not a true blue. For reference.
Okay.
No, that's
blue.
That's a huge
sapphire,
difference.
Yeah.
That's not sapphire.
That's not sapphire. It says
blue.
blue.
Sapphire is it? It's sapphire in the top right. I see it right there. It says sapphire.
Oh, does it? It says sapphire on those 2020 sapphire?
It does. Yes.
Under Bowman Chrome, it says sapphire.
Oh my God, it does. All right. Sorry. Correction.
I was going to say, I was like, he's cheaper than Mizorowski. Well, he probably still is cheaper than Mizorowski, but.
All right, hold on. Let's go down to. I'm sorry, I did not even see that was sapphire. I feel like an idiot.
No, don't feel like an idiot. That's very confusing.
Well, even still, 475 on his non-sapphire and a 9 recently.
All right, so here's his base refractor, number to 499 from Bowman Chrome.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
A week ago
for
330.
Yeah. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, what does someone like Skubal need to do? He's older, 28, 29. He's had 2.
He wins another Cy Young this year. If he wins another Cy Young this year, when was the last time somebody won back-to-back?
Back-to-back, I don't know. I think Corey Kluber is a good example, good comparison. 2 dominant years in a row, right?
And then he fell off.
DeGrom and Scherzer were the last 2 to do it, but it's pretty rare. But if he wins back-to-back Cy Youngs this year and social media keeps promoting all of his stats that literally no pitcher has ever done before, especially Ks to walk ratio, And if the Tigers make a big playoff run, maybe he'll start to get some attention. But
yeah,
market push towards peak versus longevity of pitchers with new, acceptable standards for Hall of Fame and or hobby hype and appeal. That could help too. Junior Caminero, want to talk about him real quick?
Yep.
Well,
So he went from underrated to overrated to underrated again, I think. And now he's probably somewhere in between of properly valued. Overrated after that weird home run he hit in, what was that, like Venezuelan Winter League or something that didn't mean anything, but it was really cool for the IG and the emojis, reactions, and all that stuff.
The 3-minute trip around the bases, I think.
Yeah, and then April pretty lackluster, and then he started to elevate the ball a little bit over the last few months. And I mean, the Baseball Savant page, it's not a lot of red other than the exit velocity he's right up there, 78 miles an hour. That's got to be right up there, just underneath like Aaron Judge and Stanton for best in the league. But I've said this before. I don't know if I said this on this channel, but a lot of people gave us crap for not taking Mark Vientos in our little Topps Chrome autograph draft. Well, at the time, he was the same price as Junior Caminero. Their Topps Chrome autographs were about $40 at the time, raw. But Vientos was up like 6 to 8x since the beginning of the season. He was riding off all of that postseason buzz. Mm-hmm. And it's also relevant because they're the same position and they have similar skill sets, except Caminero is literally 3 years younger. He doesn't have strikeout problems, and he's showing that this year. His K rate is under 20% for a guy that swings that hard. That's really good. And his defense, yes, it sucks. We didn't expect it to be that bad, but Mark Vientos, we already knew that about him, which is a reason why you wouldn't spend $40 on him. And then the hit tool, Caminero needs to make more consistent contact. It's something we already kind of knew about him, but he looks like he's on pace for, this is technically his first rookie year, or did he qualify already last year?
He had, let me see how many bats he had. 43 games. He qualified last year. 165 ABs.
So first full season, 37, 38 home runs is possible. It seems like that's
at
really
21. At 21 years old.
Yeah. You got to be
21.
22 maybe. But you got to be happy with that. So, yeah, and Vientos right now must be 25. So, like, literally he had all Vientos' strengths with being younger and less of his weaknesses without the strikeout issues. And, yeah, his defense is pretty bad. It's above average, 8th percentile. So
Junior turned 22 2 days ago.
Oof. He's holding his own, so 258 average. It's a 301 OBP with a 6% walk rate. So the walk rate's going to be a killer until he improves upon that when he gets a little bit older, more seasoned.
Cool. All right. Well, those are some other players that we wanted to chat about and kind of just discuss a little bit. Thanks for hopping on, and let us in the comments down below who you're looking at for young players, as well as what you'd recommend for those that are new in the hobby and what they should do to really start out at first. If you enjoy this video and you like these more in-depth player discussions, check out our Patreon. It's $10 a month, and you get an extra video a week plus a backlog of a bunch of videos that you've never seen before. And other than that, we'll talk to you in the next video.